Welcome to the Release Your Blocks podcast. I am your host, Victoria Bond. I am a spiritual empowerment coach. I help teach others to show up to their potency so they can fulfill their mission here on earth. I'm so glad you are here. And if you are interested in becoming a medium, if you're interested in becoming a life coach, or if you're interested in shifting your life from the 3D to live more in the 5D reality, then check me out, book a clarity call, and let's get chatting. Hello everybody, I am just doing a spontaneous live. We have got so many new members in holistic energy shifting, and I love this group. I have been building this group for the last couple of years as I've been building my holistic empire, my spiritual empowerment coach business with my programs. And you know, I love to share things. I love to share free content. So I've got a podcast called Release Your Blocks, the podcast on Release Your Blocks by Victoria Bond on Spotify. I'm just grabbing myself a coffee. I've been doing lots of recordings, and I decided not to be in the office. So it's a little bit windy out here, but that's okay. I decided not to be in the office all week. Okay, so I have got tons of programs and a lot of things that go on. I have calls and all sorts. So I decided to mix things up. You know, I've never been an office girl, so why be one now? Just because I'm an entrepreneur who works online doesn't mean I have to be stuck in the office. So I'm now set up outside, recording videos and doing all the things. So that's just a little bit about me. And I just wanted to share that with you because you can change your mind on how you are living your life. You can change your mind every single day. You can have a different choice, and without even having a kind of a justification for it. So yeah, why not just mix things up? Why not choose to take the day off and go and relax? We are in the society, and I was talking to my 7-year-old yesterday, and I said to my 7-year-old, I was like, you know, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? And I said, I just said, I want to tell you something. I go, these eyes can be very perceiving. This is what I'm saying to my nearly 8-year-old. And she's like, And I go, the eyes, okay, just because you see this reality like this, doesn't mean there's not other things. Now, people are going to try to tell you that, you know, theories and entities and all of these things that you know about aren't real because you can't see them. You can't see people's feelings either, you know, but we still know how people are feeling. So I was like, you just remember, theories are real and so are magic. And I love you and you're gifted. And she's just used to those conversations now. So the question is, it's kind of like, who are you choosing to be? Who are you choosing to be today and tomorrow and the next day and the next day? And you get to change your mind. But the human beings are like, hey, they're like, hey, you know what, like, this is what my past has been so far, so there's no way in hell that my future could look like that, because it's like chalk and cheese, right? It's like, the polarity is just crazy from being depressed and broke to being rich and fucking happy. Like, how is that even possible for people to change? Because it doesn't make sense with our brain, because from before now, it's always been like, there's been some stories, like Tony Robbins is a great story of how he was broke, and you know, we've even had, you know, Donald Trump and other people go broke over and over and over again, and then they jump back up, and you know, so their polarity can be quite different, I suppose. But for the average human being that thinks they're average, that's the only reason why they are average, just because they think they are, it's their belief system. What actually happens is they are getting stuck in their mind of thinking that they can't go from being this, this, and this to this, this, and this. Now, that is bullshit, and it's not real. This is all about your mindset. And so that's why I wanted to talk to you about intention today and how to do intention. So I'm going to try and keep this short and sweet, because I could talk to you for 10 million hours, and I've just been recording for my amazing groups, the practitioner program and magnificent mediumship. And so basically, guys, what you think about is what you bring about, like cliche. How many people have heard that before? Put your hand up. At the end of the day, like, it was only 4 or 5 years ago that I was in a deep depression, like so depressed I couldn't leave my house. I knew that I was here for more, and the thought of that overwhelmed me. It was just so far away. I couldn't even see the light. Like, I was deep in the tunnel. And now, 5 years later, I wake up happy. I am happy. Like, nothing can really rock me too much. Now, I can go out of alignment. I just did a really good post on alignment and an email as well. So go check your emails about being unaligned or aligned and what that means and what that can look like for you, and some questions to ask. But if we can dive into being aligned every morning, which means choosing for ourselves before anybody else, then we can really jump into the vortex of shifting and changing and going from where we currently are and projecting, collapsing timelines and whatnot, projecting to the future. And if we can sit in that feeling of what we're really desiring to create, whether it's your $1 million business, whether it's reaching tons of people, whether it's making a difference to others, whether it's having a beautiful house on the hill, whether it's spending more time at the beach, or finding the love of your life and having all those things happen, if you can sit there in that feeling of it, then you're going to start creating that. It's your intentions that you put out to the universe and to yourself that start to happen. But you have to keep coming back to that feeling. If you're functioning from one day it'll happen, one day I'll choose me, one day I will invest in a coach, when A, B, and C, and D, and E, F, G happen, then what if that one day never happens? You have to start changing your words. And in my Release Your Blocks program, I have a module on conscious speaking. And we must verbalize the right words, for as in, I'm choosing greatness. I'm choosing to shine today. I'm choosing to have a magical day. And I say to my kids every day, have a magical day. Good morning. I love you so much. There's no grumpy mornings in our house anymore, but there used to be, because I used to be a bitch. Every morning I'd be like, don't wake me up. Leave me alone. I'm exhausted. How much sleep did I get? Oh my God, I've got such a big day. When am I going to rest? And this was like an entity that I created simply by a thought. And that thought grew and grew and grew. So it went from one little thought, and rather than shifting it and cleaning out the energy, I made it a goddamn huge entity of, I'm exhausted. It's like I convinced myself I was in depression, and then I was in depression. Now, I'm not dismissing people that do suffer from mental illness. I want to make that clear. I'm talking from my own experience. And yeah, I did have depression. Now, I didn't go into medication or anything like that, but the thing is, that thought that I had, I didn't have the strength to get out of that. I had to get help to get out of that. I had to, every day, start with meditation. I just start meditating, and I hated it. I didn't want to meditate. I loved being a victim somewhere unconsciously. I didn't want help. I didn't want to get out of my hole. I wanted to be a victim because it was so much easier being a victim and not showing up than actually stepping up and showing up. Now, I see this a lot with people, unconsciously as well. If they're a victim, it's so much easier. Now, I'm not going to say I don't go into victim mode. A couple of days ago I was in victim mode. I'm so tired. I overworked. And my husband's like, are you playing out a bit of a drama cycle? And I went, oh, I am. I made things way too dramatic. So I'm not going to go into the drama cycle. All of that's in my programs as well. But really, meditating, whether that's gardening, some of my clients love to garden, whether that is singing, whether that's going to the beach and walking, whether that's sitting there doing breath work, or listening to a podcast, or lying down and listening to an actual meditation. Meditating is great because you come back to you come back to alignment, and then you can start setting clear intentions, right? Clear intentions. Where have you made your aura really, really murky because of other people's points of view and judgment? Where have you done that? Now, that's why I had that conversation with my 7-year-old. My conversation was, this is what you see with your eyes, but there's so much more, so that's why I tell people to close their eyes sometimes, because what I see right now is dirt, because we haven't finished our house. I can see a beautiful home, nice things in the home. I can see a blue sky, and I'm feeling grateful for all of those things. Now, if I sat there and I went, how am I going to go from where I am now, which is a great place to be, but how am I going to go here to this house on the hill with the beach and da-da-da? When I'm not aligned, I start going into freak out mode and saying to my husband, how are we going to do this? What if I don't sell my programs? What if my soul clients can't find me? And I start going into ridiculous mode, okay? It's growing that entity. But when I come back to me, into the feminine, and I sit there and go, oh my gosh, I know, I can see all this, enjoy this all with my eyes, but I know as well in my heart that it's all happening and that I am going to achieve my dreams with no attachment of how that looks, but I'm just going to follow that energy. Following that energy, that sparkly energy of expansion, is not woo-woo. It is how we are supposed to function. We are told that we have to make fucking pro and con lists. And I had a conversation with someone the other day, and I said, I was doing a reading. I do these soul guided alignment sessions. They're on my website if you want to check them out. It's the only thing I do one-offs with, apart from light language. Everyone else has to be in my programs or one-to-one, because we're here to make a massive difference, and one session doesn't usually kind of cut that. But this is like a 2-hour session with me, right? And I said to her, okay, look, honey, you got to turn up the spiritual stuff, because the pros and con list that you're doing right now is totally limiting you, because a pros and con list is all about the brain. Okay? And if I had listened to my pros and cons list, there's no way in hell I would be a medium or have a Release Your Blocks program or have a podcast. 3 incredible coaches said to me, don't do a podcast if you think it's going to make you money. And I was like, oh, thank you so much for that. But the truth is, it's actually the least from my mind. My podcast has got 30 episodes in it now, and people message me nearly every day saying their lives have changed because I've listened to my podcast. The reason why I'm doing this, it's a free content basically for you, is because I care. And if you can have a shift from what I'm saying, it's incredible. But my eyes and my pros and con list, being kind of in this reality of what is actually happening, I would have never done this. I would actually own a hair salon. That's what I would have done. I nearly did that, and then it got really heavy, and I followed the energy, and I was like, but you've always wanted to be a successful hairdresser. I was a successful hairdresser. I've worked in really high-end hair salons, and I loved it because I got to be with people, of course, but I just had to follow the energy, and I didn't know where it was going to take me. And now I do readings and teach people mediumship. I've got Magnificent Mediumship, which is amazing, and all of these incredible programs that are all on and my whole business is exploding out with zero evidence goals that it would work. Zero evidence that would work, but it did. And I hit a 6-figure year last year because I followed the energy, which made no sense in this reality. The pros and cons list would have told me to run, because mum and dad are not going to like it. I don't even know if I think they know I'm a medium. I don't really know. They don't care, so it doesn't matter. My sisters maybe not have chosen to enhance their gifts. Same with my friends. The pros and cons list would have said, just don't do it. But my heart said, go and follow your dreams like a child. How many children do we say, oh, you don't want to be a musician or a hairdresser or to work in a supermarket because they won't pay enough? We crush those little children. But what if working in a supermarket made them so goddamn happy and they had the best life ever, and that's how they were a contribution to the world? I always wanted to work in a supermarket, but I was too shy. My favourite jobs are working in a petrol station. I loved working in a petrol station. It was amazing. And that's because I was functioning from my heart. And I kept projecting into the future when I was a hairdresser, and when I married Luke, which I did, when I had my 2 children, and when I did this, and all of these things, they happened. I manifested everything in my whole entire life, the good, the bad, and ugly. I even manifested my depression. I say I manifested depression, not my depression, because I don't want to own that. Anxiety, depression, not being able to get out of bed, feeling sorry for myself, being in victim mode. Oh my God, drama, addiction, addicted to alcohol, addicted to smoking. That was pre-children, but still, that was only like 8 years ago. I used to drink like a bottle of wine a night, or 2 bottles. I haven't drunk this year because I don't need to, I don't want to. I don't want to rely on anything, because all I have to do, it's a monarch butterfly, is come into my heart and say, what is required next? Without the pros and cons list, what do I want to do? So I hired a coach, which was like 10K. Here's 10K. Oh my God, what am I doing? This makes no sense. It doesn't have to make sense, because the next day I made 20K. Zero evidence, my friends. So if you want to go from where you are now, and it's probably a sweet spot, like I've got a sweet spot, new house, loving it, got 2 healthy children. I am loving my life. birds everywhere. Is it a magpie? So I love my life. It's great. But I desire more, and I'm allowed more. I'm allowed to have a multi-six-figure business or a 7-figure business. I'm allowed to have the best coach, one-to-one coaching where I can just express everything. I am allowed to have group programs and sell them out. I am allowed to be happy and joyful and ecstatic every day and buy myself new clothes. I'm allowed to have joy. I am no victim. And if I pick up that I'm playing out the victim card, which comes up from time to time, because I was a victim for a very long time, I clean it up. I clean up my energy, and I teach others how to clean up theirs. Starting off with meditating. And if you think you don't have time for meditating, then you're in victim mode. That's just my interesting point of view. Because I was like, I don't have time to work on myself. I've got a business, and I'm a mum, and I've got to cook dinner, and I'm busy, and I haven't slept for 5 years. Like, that story got old, and it was relevant to me. But it wasn't until I took a deep breath and I dropped that story and realized that I was getting attention by being extremely dramatic, because maybe I didn't want to be forgotten. Maybe I thought I was bored. Maybe that's why I had to drink alcohol. There's always been a pattern. And that's a wrap for today. Thank you so much for joining the Release Your Blocks podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love to hear from you. So please leave a review and tell me what your favorite takeaway from today was. There is so much more from where this came from. You can also find me at Holistic Energy Shifting on Facebook, where you can find more content, more coaching, and more guidance. Have a grand and glorious day, and I'll see you next time.